Hello, I'm Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 316. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman,
What's up, guys?
Kyle Wagner,
Hey, everybody.
James Babb,
Hello.
and Ginger Christensen.
Hi.
So, guys, number one on the topics tonight is Facebook is banning music live streams starting October 1st.
Why? Because of COVID?
You
What?
would think because of COVID, like nobody can play shows, right?
Like
So-
you're not allowed to have fun. It's like, sorry, we're noticing that you're having fun out in the world, and we've needed to crimp it.
Exactly.
I
I
think that's
mean,
exactly why.
well, music.
Well,
live
so what is the
streams still-
actual
music live
actual
streams are still
restriction on this?
I don't know, man.
Because like I'm reading that it might only pertain to they're saying like music listening experiences.
Well,
And
before
people
That's
are
pretty
interpreting
vague.
that to mean, well, that's the thing. I mean, that's what Facebook does, right?
Did
Is
we
they
need
just-
another reason to tell Facebook to fuck off?
Right.
I mean,
But that's what they
No.
do is they'll
what's
invent
going on here?
they'll invent very vague rule systems that they can just apply willy-nilly and very inconsistently. And then if you come back and say like, what, you didn't like, why is this a thing? They'll trot this out and say, well, you listen to music on the internet, so we have to ban you now.
Yeah,
The
I
real
wonder if-
reason is
Well,
you
I
listen
wonder
to-
if they're gonna what they're gonna. I think there's a connection to politics, where you're gonna say like, you know what, Cardi B doing is this a live concert or is this a fundraiser for Joe Biden, right? Or is this even what would be worse? Would be a fundraiser for another political candidate with bad think. Right? Like what if a musical genre gets associated with bad think? Like it's time to rein in those, whether it's the punk rocks or the rock and roll kids or the blues musicians. So there's always like a counterculture, right? So if they can turn off and turn on these music streams,
right.
they can decide which bit of the culture gets transmitted and which gets blocked, and screw them.
yeah, no, I agree. Before they had it set up so that only DJs couldn't do that. Like you couldn't live stream someone else's music, and people really haven't been. So this was already a rule in a way, but they've updated it so that
They're claiming that the rule's been around since 2018.
Yeah.
But
They've
I mean, really,
updated
it's vague and it could be applied for whatever reasons they want.
Gee, selective enforcement against bad think, they'd never
Right.
do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, all of these
and
bands
then
are streaming their shows because COVID, because they can't perform like you guys were talking about. And so, yeah, let's definitely be sure that all of those bad subculture bands can't show stuff, and only the content that we want allowed is you're absolutely right, James.
and how long until they trim it down from music listening experiences, just listening experiences?
It's already there. It's
which would then
basically
cover
they've
us,
already. Well, didn't they just like a week ago? Didn't we talk about their new rule? That's like, oh, by the way, we can delete any content that we feel might be potentially banned or the government won't like, or sort of gave themselves like even more carte blanche to just ban anything for any reason and
And
just
freak your pages.
and say we told you we would, and
Yeah.
then they will, and everyone will get all outraged. But they've already announced all of this shit. I mean, there's no surprises for anybody with content on those platforms,
Well,
right?
people will be outraged, but they'll stay. They never leave. And that's very hard for some of us, like promoters and stuff, where it's like, we don't want to be here, but we have to be here because you're here. And you're the person
But you know what? Use it. Go ahead and use it anyway. Just don't bet on it, and try not to be what they want you to be. Like use it in insidious ways. I mean, they can't stop the signal, right? So they can. I like the idea of still using Facebook to promote counterculture or counter economic activities, or why not? As long as we can. They're always fighting the last war anyway. We saw with the whole boog thing, like, oh, now they're going to ban boog, the word boog. Oh, okay. Well, now we're going to the big igloo. Okay. Oh, they're going to ban the big igloo. Just go like they don't.
Now
They
we're
can't.
CNN
They'll never get
boys.
it. They'll never get it. They'll never win. They'll never win the like. We're going to pinch off the signal. Now, maybe we need more insidious content. Like maybe as libertarians, if we want to get like that kind of mainstream audience or access to it, we might need to disguise our messages like deeper into other content to, to kind of slip past their algorithms. We just have to be a little more creative. I don't care.
Subliminal
Use it.
messaging.
Well,
Like
I'll tell you
flash
what,
images in the middle of the like,
right?
Well, hopefully
Like
we don't
clone-
have to resort to that, but
like splicing dick pics in the middle of films.
Consume.
Have they been banning mentions of Kyle Rittenhouse? I've heard that.
Yes, they have. Oh my god.
well, I sure still get a lot of memes about it and everything. So they didn't really do a good job of banning that.
So
Yeah, I
I'll
still
tell you
see a
the
ton of
way
memes.
that I get around this whole live stream thing, because I sort of saw this coming. I saw all of these bands are doing live stream events and Facebook, and they can't charge for it. So everybody's doing this stuff for free. And so Facebook is going to want a cut of something, because ultimately they want money. So they are going to get rid of this somehow.
Yeah, but they could throw ads into anything you're transmitting over Facebook can easily be have their ads inserted in it. They've got plenty of ways to monetize your content.
Right. And the bottom line is musicians, right now, they can't perform. So, like in venues, like traditionally, but, so they're going to find ways to stream their music, and then there's also going to be like, places that are going to accommodate that, and then if they can't do it on Facebook, they're going to do it on YouTube or,
Yeah.
Spotify or some
Right.
other.
Go ahead and try to shut
Patreon.
down the flow.
Yeah.
You're like, you're
Yeah.
not going to put a dam on that.
Yeah. I mean, what they're going to do is just send people to other websites and cool.
right?
Yeah, I don't understand the motivation behind it. Is this a COVID thing?
I
We
think
don't
it's
know.
more. I mean, I think it's being framed as an IP thing, where they're afraid of people playing other people's music without licensing it first. It may be pressure by like Warner Music Group or something like that. But yeah, it could always be just political, as it usually is.
I'm curious what the motivation is.
Or what their stated motivation is. Let's see if maybe we can find out.
Yeah, I
It'll
think the
end-
stated motivation is more to do with IP and licensing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's possible they don't
copyright.
want to get sued.
Yeah.
Like YouTube has really cracked down on that. They'll take videos down that just have like background music or.
But it's
you
kind of
know.
ominous to say like, I mean, it's weird to say like music listening experience instead of just saying like you cannot play copyrighted music. Like, why not just be explicit?
I think it's just a flex to remind everyone who's boss. We shut
don't
down whatever
know.
the fuck we want to shut down and be used to it. This is normal. Be used to that. Like, of course we're going
This is
to,
the
we'll
new
decide
normal.
what goes out to everybody at all times.
Yeah,
Wrong
you would.
ideas will be transmitted.
Well, it's the same thing they got.
If we don't
they
like
got
your
us-
meme, it's going to have a disclaimer on it. It's going to have a cover because you showed a picture of U.S. government violence in Iraq. We're going to put a cover on that. Like whatever, what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, how they got us was through some weird rule that they had about spamming, which didn't make any sense. It was just like we were just sharing links. We were just having pages post on our page links. I mean,
None of the rules
so
are
it's-
actually used for whatever reason they say
Right,
they have
yeah,
the rules.
but they
The rules
have
are
these
just- They have
rules.
enough rules and rules, which is just whatever they happen to say publicly. The important thing is, and I think they've already haven't they already like made it clear in public statements? I know the guy from, was it YouTube or was it the girl from Twitter? Or they're like, of course we want to, inhibit the wrong ideas, or like just they're so open about their ideologies, their desire to shape public narratives. They don't even feel the need to hide it. So,
Have you guys tried any alternatives to Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on most other platforms. So
I go outside.
Yeah, that too.
I
Mine
talk to people
has
in
that
IRL.
function now, so it's better. And I hear good things about Parlor. I was just about to sign up for that.
No, Parler is just as bad. It's just the right wing version of Twitter.
Ew. Then I'll
It's
ignore
not
it.
cool.
Thank
I mean, mine's seems okay, but like they've just been struggling to get proper user interface together for like 5 years, and
Ever.
no one. The problem is you have to have the network effect to make a social network actually work.
Yeah,
You have to
I
have a
mean,
critical mass of people that are on there that aren't just like the same, 200 people, 200 libertarians that are on every like,
yeah,
third party platform.
yeah, like on Minds and MeWe, like I find that it's like all the people I'm friends with on there are just like my Liberty friends. I don't think I have
Right.
like one quote unquote normie friend on there.
So
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's fine if you want to use that to communicate
circle
and
jerk.
coordinate with other libertarians.
And
But if you're
circle jerk.
trying to like get beyond get beyond our shell, you need a mass market audience. You need the network size of Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, like that. That's where the people are, right?
Right.
Like if you want to reach people, you got to go where they are.
I think I'm going to start my own social media, and I'm going to combine whatever is good about Facebook, which I don't really know what it is, and all of the awesome that was ancient MySpace, and I'll put that together and I'll call it My Face, and people could just sit on my face all day and they would be so happy.
I support this effort.
You
That's
used to be able to
awesome.
put like a theme song on MySpace. Like people would go to your page and it would play whatever
That was like part of the
music you
downfall.
Tell me
of
that wasn't
MySpace.
annoying as hell.
It was like
God.
you go to
I don't know.
MySpace and it'd
I
be
don't know.
like
I've had
fucking
fun.
pink unicorns everywhere and like
Right, and nothing
fucking
rendered
GIFs
correctly,
everywhere.
so everything's
Yeah.
like out of the margins and overlapping. And
that is one of the brilliant things about Facebook is they very much restrict you in the way that you can customize your page.
Well, like I
I mean,
remember
the only thing you can really
MySpace-
do is change your banner and change your profile, and then obviously you can post content on there. Whatever.
wouldn't it be
they'll allow
cool if
to
you
post.
could, like, if you did have a MySpace style, like really customizable, like in weird, unique ways, some kind of a like so. Instead of when people go to your profile and they can see like, oh, the stuff you've posted or your pictures, that's okay, but be cool to be able to create like a custom anything like MySpace. That was cool.
Oh yeah, I had actually built a social network for realsies a
But
while
the problem
back
was
for my company, and it
Oh, yeah.
was a lot like that because you can do it with is it Wiki? No, that's not it. There's a way to be able to build social networks and stuff, and it's just not coming to me what the name of it is. And
there's
mine
one
was
called
really cool.
Diaspora.
I
That was an
know,
open source social media one.
yeah, that's not
There's
it
also
either.
like something
Something
Buddy
super
Press, which works with
common.
WordPress.
WordPress, there we go. Yeah, so it was Buddy Press, and you can totally build those and get all kinds of cool things on there. And so mine was really neat, and people were on there and trafficking around, and a lot of subculture people are on those things, and they build their own social networks too. But people tend to check them like once a month, so it's not all that popular to do. There's also like Twitch. A lot of people are on Twitch, and
Well, they're
on,
doing the same thing though. Apparently, in this article, it says Twitch is also banning like live streams of music.
Yeah, I'm not super. Twitch is neat, but I'm also not the biggest of all fans of it either because it does seem very restrictive already.
Don't they also have like a little bit of a pedo thing going on there?
I don't know. Do they?
I had heard stuff about that
Edo?
I have.
Where?
on Twitch. I just had heard that they sort of cater towards like they're very restrictive on certain things, and then other things they're kind of like a little more laissez-faire, and those tend to be the things that are a little.
But tell me this isn't going to
Closer
be
to
the
the pedo.
formula. Somebody develops an alternative platform that's viable. It starts to gain success. They send out a press release saying this is where all the pedophiles are going. End program. Like seems
That
pretty.
does-
It seems
that
like that
happened
would be a
with
quick
social
like.
media
Oh,
before.
Bitcoin. Oh yeah, that's for drug dealers. Like
Well,
the
But
playbook.
it didn't really
You know how
stop
they do
Bitcoin
this,
though.
right? We can't have
Yeah,
that kind of freedom. Oh, Tor. The onion router. Oh no, that's for human traffickers, right? Like they can't block the technology, but they're really good at manipulating public opinion about the people that use them. So
Yeah, that's probably true.
just try to ignore that.
I mean, well,
Yeah,
that's
I
how
mean,
we all
people
got stuck
still
on
use
Facebook
Bitcoin, right?
before.
People still use Tor. It's not.
Hell yeah, but just we
You know.
know what to expect. So when I
Yeah.
hear that, like, oh, did I hear that pedos are using Twitch? Well, maybe they are. You know what? Pedos are using the U.S. Congress. Okay, like,
Well, it's not. I don't mean. I'm not saying that pedos are using it is. I mean, yeah, pedos can use anything, right? Until they get caught. But I'm just saying
technically,
they.
I want to use a communications platform that is so resistant to censorship that pedos do want to use it, right? Not because I want to see pedos get away with their sick shit, but
Yeah.
I mean, Ernie Hancock has a test for pirate communications, or he's like, can I host a video of me launching cats from a catapult like into the saguaro cactus, right? Like with something so unpopular, right?
Yeah.
Like I want a platform that, like, no matter, like, the worst shit that you could imagine publishing will be there,
Yeah.
right? Because that means
Orange
it's
Man?
actually resilient to censorship. So
Right, but the problem is if there's some unbalanced censorship that happens on these platforms where they'll ban you for talking about transgendered
Right.
people in the wrong way.
Well,
But
that
then
obviously
there's
that
kitty porn there.
exposes that does not meet the standard and
Right.
cannot be trusted as a
100%.
for pirate communications, at least.
Sure.
Yeah, and ironically, that kind of video, the animal torture videos and things like that, that puts off users. They don't want to see that stuff. They'd be inclined to, stop.
Really, Kyle?
Yeah.
Well, right. I mean, I'm sure there's no problem with a market response, right? Like,
Kyle,
that's not a
the way
big
you
deal.
said
Like,
that, the way you said that, you made it sound like it gave you a little bit of wood, though.
No, absolutely not. I can't stand those videos or those images.
Have you seen that documentary on Netflix called "Don't Fuck with the Cats"?
I started watching it. Yeah,
Oh, it's great.
Did you
But
guys not meet Kyle's cat in pre-show? It was here.
she's,
Yeah,
Kyle
he's
is
about
not
ready to catapult it.
I like cleaning cats.
I'm an animal lover, and yeah, I always take those kind of things down out of my group in Facebook if somebody shows animal suffering or something like that. I just don't. I don't know.
but as a statist, what if it's like, police hurting somebody? Then that's probably that's a little more acceptable, right? Than,
Yeah,
like,
so
an
I think that
animal getting
Yeah,
I think we've got a
Yep.
podcast title too. Kyle Wagner is an animal lover.
I am an animal lover. Yeah, I
bet.
mean, I have actually deleted a picture of. I remember one. It was really gruesome. It was like a kid that had been killed or something that had been tied up or something. I deleted that, but yeah, the extreme gore. I don't know. If it's too much and I get that reaction, I'm just like, I'll take it down. No.
You know what I'd like to, if I was a genius or had the time, I would try to develop a competitor to YouTube. Okay, like YouTube's a popular advertising platform. It's really easy to dial in some niche audiences, right? Like, oh, you're into RVs. Oh, you're into bicycling. Oh, you're into kayaking. Oh, you're into this. Like, a small company can get a great value on advertising because of its ability to dial in. So why not have, what if you could do something similar, but the advertiser gets to run an ad on a network of channels that have all been banned or demonetized from YouTube, right? Like X YouTube, like all the shit that's too whatever
The
for YouTube.
outcasts.
Put it all together and have a place that people can go to watch all the cool videos.
Isn't that what
and
DTube
support
is?
it with an ad stream from companies that are like, of course I want to advertise my product there, right? Like, a lot of advertisers will be like, hell yeah, right? Like, and just get all that money, get all that market.
Dude, I got it. Danger Tube.
No, it would be just like a normal thing. You could call it,
Danger
rainbow
tube.
vision. I don't, like, it's just
normal thing
just-
like rainbow vision.
just things that are too whatever for Facebook. Whether like Jorg Sprav, who does the Slingshot channel, he got radically demonetized. A very popular channel.
The Slingshot channel.
You don't know the Slingshot channel?
No.
Oh, you gotta check this out. Jorg Sprav, he's this guy that he kind of like makes weapons out in his shop. And he modifies stuff, and he'll take a crossbow and make like a magazine and turn it, like, the dude is super cool, but his focus is homemade weapons, right?
Yeah,
And that's wrong think in today. Like, nothing he does is illegal. It's super cool. It's interesting. He's got a fun personality. Nope. He's a perfect candidate for an advertiser who'd be like, that's freaking great. I'd love to sell my shit on that guy's channel, right? I don't know. So guys with money and power, come up with that. Find a way to put all these channels together in a network that can be monetized.
Yeah. So what's up with like I was reading that apparently when Joe Rogan went to Spotify, that apparently they're censoring like a lot of his podcasts.
Didn't he agree to that?
Apparently.
Well, he had said that they
It's like
wouldn't have any
$100 million
control over,
deal,
over
right?
his content.
Whoever
Yeah, I
pays
did-
the piper calls the tune.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw people reporting that there were episodes that were not migrated over to the Spotify platform.
Yeah. So I mean,
That
Well,
included
has
like
he responded
Alex,
to this accusation, right? Let's let him.
I don't know. I
Joe
haven't
Rogan
followed
should come
it.
out and be like, nope, I can say anything I want, and let me prove it by saying this.
Yeah, I don't know if he's responded to it yet. I haven't listened to all of his content since he moved, or any of it really. I haven't had
Well,
a chance.
I guess I kind of hope it works out for him. I mean, I don't know. How do you guys feel about him? I don't listen to his show.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. Okay.
I'm a fan, and I've said for a long time, like it makes me feel good knowing that Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast.
Okay. I thought he
Yeah.
was like Bernie Sanders supporter or whatever.
He's all
He
over
was
the
like-
map.
He was
did
a
endorse Bernie
lukewarm.
Sanders,
Well,
but
he was like a
also
lukewarm
endorsed-
endorsement.
He
Yeah.
also endorsed Ron Paul, and he
Yeah.
endorsed Gary Johnson. So, and then who knows who he's
The
actually
dude's
gonna
all over the
endorse.
map. I
Who is-
get it.
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, Ron Paul and Gary Johnson. I mean, and then
Right, one's libertarian, one's a dipshit from New Mexico, and
Oh man,
yeah, I wouldn't be that hard on Gary.
I don't know
how hard
about
would you be on
dipshit.
him? How hard would you be on him?
I mean, the guy
Um,
does run a marijuana business. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I know.
He hiked
well,
Mount
I mean,
Everest. He climbed Mount Everest. I give him. Let's give him his due.
He
where
bikes
he's
like
due.
50 miles a day or some shit.
He
He's
was
like
also
Ron
the
Paul.
governor for 8 years. Fuck that
Yeah,
guy.
and he talked about marijuana.
time to
about
be
marijuana.
been treating
He's also an open-
COVID with marijuana and eating tacos right now.
But
Say
he,
that again, Ginger.
Well, here's one good thing about Gary Johnson being on a border state. He was always open borders,
Yep.
right? Or at least like very loose borders, if I recall. Right, Matt?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. He
What
talked
about the dude he murdered? Are you guys cool with that? A lot of
Yeah.
people are.
Wait, what dude did he murder?
He did an execution. He did a state execution.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Now, there's no libertarian argument for state execution. You know, certainly there's no self-defense argument there. So,
Nope.
Well,
I mean, people kind of let it slide, I guess. Because I mean, I think this guy was a scumbag, and nobody's gonna
Well, I mean,
miss
see,
the
that's
fact
the
that
thing,
his
like-
heir might be better allocated now with other people. But
Well,
Still.
like that's the thing. Like, I'm anti the death penalty because I don't want to entrust the government with the power to execute people.
you don't trust
But-
Gary Johnson to know who should live or die.
But at the same
I don't
time, if it's clear and you absolutely for totally sure know that somebody killed somebody, I'm not going to shed a tear if they get killed.
I'm not either, but at the same time, it's not consistent with libertarian principles, and we don't recognize
Well, I mean,
vengeance
neither
as
is having a governor. Period.
That's why I said fuck him.
You're not.
I'm consistent here.
Okay, fair enough, Babs. But yeah, now we're gonna go on to the second topic of the night, and Jimmy Carter has came out recently, and apparently there's been like a long time rumor.
Out of the closet?
No, apparently there's been a long time rumor that Willie Nelson has smoked weed at the White House, and I think this was put out in like a Willie Nelson like autobiography or something. So now Jimmy Carter said that, and I guess the rumor was that he went out on the roof with like an employee, like somebody who worked at the White House, like like staff or something. But Jimmy Carter has actually said recently that apparently Willie Nelson smoked weed with one of Jimmy Carter's sons. So everybody.
Wasn't it on the roof or some bullshit like
yeah,
that?
it was on the roof. It was on the roof. Oh, you sound like you're just pissed off, dude.
Well, can you imagine making Willie Nelson smoke a joint on the goddamn roof? This is I'm sorry, Willie. This is Lincoln's bedroom. Do you need a light, sir? Okay. Fuck that bullshit. Okay?
I don't know, dude.
Willie
It's
Nelson
Probably a cool view
deserved,
from there,
I
though.
think
like
oh yeah,
but
it's
far
a
better than
tremendous
that.
view,
Dude, actually, I'd prefer to smoke on the roof of the White House if I had to be there.
Fine, or the front lawn. I don't care, but I feel like that's like treating him like some kind of, oh, we're gonna go hide up there and smoke a joint with Willie Nelson.
Well, yeah, it was like during
You know,
the
come on.
70s, you know.
You're the goddamn president of the United States. That means you can smoke a goddamn joint wherever the hell you want. Okay. And you got Willie
Well,
Nelson gracing your White House with I mean, as an actual legitimate, you know, good person, you know, person of talent and ability who's brought joy and happiness to the countless millions over a lifetime.
Where do you think Trump does his meth?
Probably off of like some 13-year-old boy's ass. I don't know.
God.
Wow.
Did I say that? I'm not sure.
Is that out loud?
That seems wildly inappropriate, but luckily this is a comedy show and I can get away with stuff like that. So
That's
I
a
always
disclaimer.
figured it would have been Coke for Trump.
Well, it wasn't people were trying to pin, like, it was like some picture he had like a drawer in the backdrop and it had like a whole bunch of like cold medicine, like cough medicine in the background. And people
So
were
he's
trying
what,
to say that it was like
overworking?
way more than you would ever need. And he must be like fucking doing scissor or
he's like
something.
some kind of cough syrup addict.
Yeah.
More power to him.
Yeah,
Whatever, you know.
dude. Whatever gets you off.
Yeah. Enjoy, buddy.
All right. What do we got next, Matt?
yeah, but I think the thing that's really interesting about the Jimmy Carter thing,
Hmm.
you know, because he's like
He presided
laughing-
over on a federal war on drugs for his entire presidency.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that thing, and then so it's obviously like, you know, these people believe in these rules for, like, you know, the lowlings, you know.
Well,
But-
what was the war on drugs like back then? I was kind of too young to remember. I hadn't found drugs yet at that point, at that stage. It
Well,
was
no, they
pre-Nancy
were-
Reagan,
Drugs haven't found
right?
you.
So pre-Nancy Reagan was a little more mellow, right? Like I'm guessing
I
the
believe the war on
incarceration
drugs
rate
was-
was way lower.
I believe the war on drugs was kicked off in 71 by Nixon.
Nixon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was still underway
Yeah, right.
because
And
of
then
those damn
even-
hippies. Had to
even
get those
now-
damn hippies.
But even now, though, you know, you've still got thousands upon thousands of people that are still in jail for marijuana, quote unquote, crimes.
Right. Why is it okay for Willie Nelson and the presidential son when it's not okay, but it's justification to imprison thousands?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how can you laugh about this when there are still people rotting in cages for this?
Because we live in a caste society. There's the political caste, and then there's the like everybody else.
Kamala Harris has openly admitted and laughed about how she was actively smoking marijuana back when she was putting people away for the same crime. And so it's yet
Obama
again one
did
of those
something
things
similar,
where
right?
they're
Remember
portraying
Obama's
it not
Choom
to be.
gang? Obama had
Yeah.
the Choom gang, where it was like, oh, that's, you know, they used to roll up the windows and smoke the joint in the car. Like, oh, isn't that funny that he was such a big stoner? And now he presides over the biggest civil rights crisis since chattel slavery, called the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
And so, I mean, it's okay.
Well, hold
for
on.
them
And
to
also for
work.
Obama, his daughter got caught smoking weed too.
Oh,
Yeah.
God bless her. At least there's some hope for the family. I mean,
Maybe,
Oh,
but
no,
not if
no,
he was smoking
not
weed too
really.
when he was young. So obviously,
thinking
once they get
about
older, they
Not
turn
really.
into fucking tyrants.
Because let me tell
somebody
you,
needs to get them some mushrooms or some LSD
That's
or
what it
something.
is.
Like,
No, but
Weed's
okay,
just
okay.
not
not gonna be
permanent enough. Yeah,
okay, guys. So let me take you back. Okay, so I
Take
was
me
at a
back,
party.
bro.
Okay, so I was
Take
at
me
a
way
party.
back.
I was at a party probably in like 2007, right? And you know, I was talking about, you know, you talk about parties, you talk about bullshit, you talk about politics, whatever. And I was talking about drug legalization.
Party and bullshit.
And then,
and
you know, I was
power.
there drinking beer, smoking weed, and then I was talking with it about drug legalization with a person who was also drinking beers and smoking weed.
Wow.
But oddly enough, this guy was smoking weed, but he was against legalizing marijuana.
Was he a drug dealer?
No, he was just like, oh, you can't legalize it. It'll just be chaos, you know? But it's like, and I was just like, dude, you're such a hypocrite. You're smoking it and you're saying it's okay for you, but not everybody else, you know? It's like, what the fuck?
That's the way
It's a weird
people
argument.
are. Is it's okay for me, but not the general public, and we want to be able to arrest them and put them away.
Now, oddly enough, that was a party in Washington, D.C.
Huh. Was it with Jimmy Carter's son?
That's where that party was located.
Were you actually talking to Jimmy Carter's son? Is that the
No.
twist?
I can't remember the guy's name. I'm just saying it's just something that always stuck with me, because it was like, wow, But I mean, yeah.
I recently enjoyed a Willie's Reserve branded legal pre-rolled joint. Right? Have you guys had, Willie has his own brand of weed?
Yeah,
I have heard of this.
It would have to be good.
At first,
Dude,
well,
I wanna try Mike Tyson's weed. Mike Tyson has like a weed farm now. He's got
I
like
didn't
a
know
weed
that.
brand.
What's it called? Or is there?
I don't know, but he's talked about it on Rogan's show.
Willie's Reserve is I'm giving it a thumbs up. I had some before. This time I got whatever they had, a hybrid. And it came out like I opened up the tube and there were these two little joints about 2 inches long, but they're kind of stubby and thick. And at first I was like, damn, these are pretty small joints for Willie. I'm like, did Willie really endorse these? But then after I smoked them and I realized like, wow, this is kind of the perfect size for like an aging like rock star. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this is probably like, I need to respect Willie's experience on this in the dosage, and turns out it was perfect. So I'm giving Willie's Reserve a thumbs up, at least for us old, for the older generation, the aging rock stars.
He gets 2 babs way up,
dude.
Yeah.
Like, my question is like,
I like that there's a bad scoring system now.
you got a 5 out of 5 babs.
Like, does anybody agree with me to where like I feel like it would be like impossible for me to smoke a joint out of modern marijuana, right? And not just be like retardedly way too high.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. So it's like
I still take like 1 hit off a bowl and I'm good to go.
yeah.
Oh, Matt, come on, really?
Yeah, Matt, you
Practice
smoke
makes perfect.
way more.
You're
weed than I
gonna
do.
listen. You got enough tolerance and experience that you can handle it.
No, well, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like too much for me. But I mean, everybody's got their own thing.
I didn't realize it had gotten that potent. I was listening to, I've mentioned Michael Savage before. Like
Kyle still smokes mids.
He's a nationalist with a
He smokes around
podcast.
town brown.
And so he was going on this huge rant saying that the reason we're having all these riots is because these states legalized marijuana, and the marijuana is causing these people to be violent.
Well, remember, it used to cause women to dance with Negroes. Okay, so they really haven't moved too far from the narrative there.
Yeah. Well, that's why they named it. Wasn't it why they named it marijuana? Because it had like it was some sort of racist thing against Mexicans for being violent or something like that.
I don't know, man. But when he said that, I have never heard of that before. Like, I've always just heard that marijuana makes people mellow. I've never heard of anybody getting violent on marijuana.
No, you don't.
Paranoid sometimes, but not really violent. No.
You don't. I mean, the only time if somebody's violent in marijuana, I would think they would have to be doing other things, or if they
if you're like wasted on
with PCP,
Yeah.
Let me just quote Harry Anslinger here, because I feel this is almost like just like channeling him when I hear this kind of talk. Marijuana is the most violence-causing drug in the history of mankind. Reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you smoke a joint and you're likely to kill your brother. There are 100,000 total marijuana smokers in the U.S., and most are Negroes, Hispanics, Filipinos, and entertainers. So, all right.
Damn, that makes me want to smoke more weed now.
Totally. So, like, fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, right? This was what, in like the 30s or something? I don't know when he said that, but yeah.
Yeah, of course, the guy's just on the radio. I wanted to argue with him, but I'm just listening to a podcast, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Why do you subject yourself to that shit, Kyle?
It's
your chance to argue.
I don't
I mean,
know.
I'm not saying only listen to people you agree with, but like, don't listen to people that you that vehemently disagree with.
Well, when you're a
has-
statist, you need
nonsense.
constant reinforcement of your statist beliefs.
It's not that.
Oh,
it's,
shit.
Because
it's
right,
not
otherwise
that.
your
need
ethical subroutines kick in, right? So you need constant stimulus to remind you that there's voting and there's the right
Yeah.
to
Ethical
rule and
subroutines.
it's all legit and it's a
Blowjob
constitution
permits.
and
I think it's the guy's voice.
Faction wars.
Just late at night, driving home from hockey games, like after 10. I just he has like a real deep voice, like Howard Stern, and it's not too like high pitched or
Just listen to Howard Stern, dude.
Yeah, I always liked Howard
phone is that,
Stern
by the way?
too. So it's just like I guess it's just a radio voice or something that I just find appealing, and I do agree with him sometimes, about half the time. And then other times I'm like, what in the hell is this guy talking about? Like this marijuana is causing all the violence. I was like, okay, that's
these are the
not-
same people that are like, look, here's the marijuana simulator goggles that we invented. Look how fucked up these weed heads are. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
It's not even one marijuana
It's like
filter.
everybody has like devil horns on. Like it's like, wait,
but
what?
like, have you seen that? Like the sheriff's department whips these out to
Oh, yeah.
like so they can show people what it's like to be high, and they put these special goggles and they flash lights in your eyes, and it's all disorienting. And then they're like, "See, weed's bad."
he is very critical of Antifa and BLM, and he calls everybody Marxists. And so, like, I don't know, that kind of stuff is just
Do
interesting
you
to
prefer
me.
the right wing statists to the
Well,
left wing
that's-
statists?
That's the other thing, Babs. He actually does this weird thing, and a lot of them do it where they try to attribute like fascist characteristics to those groups. They're like, these are the new fascists. This is how the brown shirts came about. And it's like, what? You're getting all your left and your right all mixed up here. You're calling them communists in one breath and fascists in the next breath.
Wait, they're saying that the Antifa were the brown shirts? That doesn't make any
yeah,
sense.
yeah. He
Antifa
calls
was
them-
actually, that was when Antifa, like the original Antifa was formed. They were the red shirts, and the brown shirts came out to like fuck them up.
Yeah, he's getting his sides all mixed up.
Just
And I'm
doesn't
like,
make any
I
sense.
don't know. 'Cause
Well,
he
he's
wants to-
I guess he's what do you call it? Tribal fluid. I mean, how does I mean,
Tribal
what is
Well, it's just
what is
trying
it
to-
when you can switch back from left wing to right wing as long as it's statist and as long as you're fucking somebody over or as long as you're getting your way, you don't really care
Well,
if it's left or
rhetorical-
right.
Yeah, it's playing the same rhetorical games that the left does, where they try to capture different terminologies and different words, and they're just trying to do it, but they just do it very poorly because
Well,
they're not as
yeah.
adept, I guess.
I've heard a lot of libertarians try to say like fascism is left wing and things like that, and it's like, no, that it's definitely right wing, and that's always been something that the right is susceptible to. So you can't just call whoever you don't like a fascist. Like
Right, they're right. They're either statists, filthy scumbags, or they're
yeah, but I mean, but there are plenty of fascists, on the left wing and like the Democratic Party, right?
yeah, no, trying to split hairs between various flavors of authoritarianism is
so, like,
futile.
I mean, isn't the
Hey,
definition of fascism is government partnering with private business, right?
Well, as according to that's the Mussolini's. I think that was something that he used, but I think it also has other contexts, depending on who, when, where you talk to. It's,
Yeah,
it's one of those loaded terms that's best to avoid unless you want to spend a whole paragraph explaining what you mean.
Yeah, the wiki little
what you're going to say is the definition. The Wikipedia is going to say something about right wing, right?
It does, yeah. It says a form of far-right authoritarian ultranationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, as well as strong regimentation of society, blah, blah, blah.
I think most people would accept that as what they think fascism is, and that describes Mussolini to pretty much.
But the thing is, like you were saying, Bab, it's like it doesn't matter if it's okay if we call the same sort of thing on the left wing something else. It doesn't change the fact that it's just
the same
authoritarianism.
Right. The governor of Pennsylvania is as democratic left wing douche as you can get, and he's all about the strict lockdowns, and he's telling everybody whose businesses is open and whose is closed and whose is who you can do this and you serve food and you've got more than 25 people and you're blah, 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 blah. Like that is, I'd say that's fairly consistent with my idea of fascism, coming from what would be considered far left politicians. Command and control.
I mean, it's definitely splitting hairs over definitions, historical
who
definitions,
cares?
but
right?
it's like,
the point is,
matter.
You got these authoritarian assholes that are trying to run your life.
Right.
Yeah, and they're
matter
running
if it's a left or right boot, right?
Kicking everybody up to Idaho.
Are they sending too many authoritarians to Idaho with their, are they fleeing?
Yes, people are fleeing to here, and a lot en masse, and it's driven up the housing costs a lot. And not only that, trying to come here and make it new California does not work.
Well, maybe you can help them with the transition. Like, we understand you're here from California. Yes. Thank God you're here now. It's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like, and like sort of a deprogramming or sort of a reorientation to humanity.
Yeah, we have to
like
teach
help them
about like floating on the river. Like, just go float. Just calm down and go float.
Is it okay for like to visit Idaho? Like I want to visit Idaho in a big way. I'd love to.
Yeah, well,
love to spend more time there.
People can move here, and people, just like anywhere. We don't want to.
You have a lot of mountains and stuff. There's plenty of room to move in, right?
Yeah, you can come visit me. It's amazing here. It's just because of the way that the government is so mismanaged in California, they're driving a lot of people up this way. People can't afford to live there. It's a dystopian hell.
Well, I'm in Pennsylvania, and people are constantly fleeing over the border from New Jersey. They're crossing the bridges, and nobody's stopping them. Nobody's checking their papers. Nobody they show up and they bring their Jersey ideas, and they don't even bother to learn Pennsylvania Dutch. Like,
for shame.
Yeah, like they don't integrate well. So, but that's just
I'm
what
all
happens.
about open borders, just like any good libertarian.
Yeah, where are my bordertarians when I need them? Like, protect me from that Jersey shit.
But
Ginger, have you seen Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah.
Was that a fair characterization of Idaho?
Sometimes. Part of
that was a great movie.
Part of it, if you go out like towards the Buell area, it certainly is. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
What do you do for fun in Idaho, Ginger?
Well, Idaho is pretty diverse. So you can go to nightclubs or the opera or a theater performance or the ballet.
Is that what you like to do the most?
Yeah, I like to go to band shows a lot and DJ nights and things like that. And during the daytime, you could go hike or fish or climb something or swim in
that
somewhere.
stuff too.
Yeah, you could go shoot things.
See, I like the last two categories that you mentioned. Yeah. Those are my things.
Yeah, I like your things, and I wasn't trying to misrepresent. We do like California people up here, but I was speaking to where you're talking about the heavy and strict authoritarianism. And it's driving people right out of there. And it's funny how people will agree with whatever law and the idea of authoritarianism, and they'll agree with doing things by force, but then they won't want to stick around for the repercussions, which is what we see a lot of whatever they've decided, and then they come and try to repeat it in a different area, having learned nothing.
Well, rule number one of statism, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but there's no such thing as unintended consequences.
There is such a thing as unintended consequences. That's typical.
Not to statists. Come on.
Yeah,
statists don't believe in unintended consequences.
I mean, that's the whole part of like Austrian economics. A lot of that is based on pointing out the consequences of these policies that people aren't thinking about.
Yeah, but for statists, not for of course Austrians understand, but I'm talking about statists.
Well, Mises was a statist, though, wasn't he?
Yes, and so was every other Austrian economist.
I don't think he was when it came to his field of expertise. Commerce, like was he like pro tax or
no
tariff or anything?
But he was pro like just having states.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, all of the original people from Austria, they all supported having a government. I mean, that was Rothbard's innovation, was to say we can have a system with no government. But I don't want to get back into that. We talk about this every week. So what were we saying? We were talking about what's the next topic?
You know, we did want to find out where Ginger is. Ginger was saying like she's not quite an anarchist because she's libertarian, and I wanted to see, because I thought that was really the same thing. If you're a principled libertarian, I'm gonna post a theory that Ginger is an anarchist. Just we have a difference of semantics.
Oh, probably. Because I think that things like you own yourself, and I think things like sticking to the Constitution, because I really like it as a document, for instance, and using it as a base rule of law. And I also think that you should be able to define law with your community and by your area and what's right for you. But I'm pretty central. So I'm definitely for like the easier definition of being fiscally conservative and socially liberal, you know, and making it simple like that.
Well, do you believe it's okay for one person to own another person?
Nope.
Okay, you're an anarchist. Next question.
Now, I mean, a lot of it's semantics too, because it's like, for a second you said you weren't an anarchist, you're a libertarian, but it's anarchists are libertarians, right? Like all anarchists.
Anarchist libertarians, and so
All
yes,
all
yes.
anarchists are libertarians, but not all libertarians are anarchists.
Exactly.
Well, if you would embrace the non-aggression principle, which some people will say libertarian, you can be libertarian and not embrace the non-aggression principle. Okay, whatever. I don't do this, again, in more semantics.
Yeah,
but I think generally people accept that a libertarian embraces the non-aggression principle.
Yep.
So once if you're willing to say, yeah, I've got these ideas for government, but nothing's going to counteract my non-aggression principle, then we'll probably just find out that you don't actually have an idea for government. You just have an idea for replacing government services with non-coercive alternatives, which is not government, and therefore it's just anarchist stuff. So
well, most anarchists don't accept the non-aggression principle, and I think in anarchy you would see numerous violations of the non-aggression principle, because there's no law saying that you can't hurt someone and take their stuff.
For the ANCOMs or the traditional like Molotov cocktail,
yeah,
like
real anarchists.
Anarchists, but that's
real anarchists.
I think we're all when we use the word anarchy, I think we just mean no rulers, right? So.
Yeah,
well, that has to be clarified.
You can have anarchy without throwing cocktails and things. A lot of anarchy is just growing gardens.
Cocktails.
It's just gardening. It's just right. It's just like buying from the tamale lady or whatever.
The tamale lady.
You should never throw cocktails. You should drink the cocktails.
You should drink the
Thank
cocktails.
you, Ginger.
Yeah, when they're made of gasoline and.
Thank you. Yeah, unless they taste like gasoline, then throw them.
Yeah. It'll still get you drunk. You just
are you drinking a Bloody Mary, Ginger?
Yes.
It really works with your overall color palette. I have to compliment you.
Get the red drink and the red hair.
Yeah. Nicely done.
It's super good for your heart. And recently I've been accused of like drinking the blood of people I've murdered, and so I mean.
It does look like a goblet of blood, but I didn't. That wasn't my first thought. So,
I don't know where
it counts as a vegetable serving. So I feel like that's you're increasing your health by drinking that.
Yeah, it's lycopene, and you've got your like peppers and stuff in there for the spicy and the garlic, and so that is super good for your health. Yeah, it's really good. Art.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have time for cuties, Matt.
I thought we were going to talk about something else. Maybe, I don't know.
All right.
I mean, so we definitely have a lot of topics for after hours. That's for sure. And
hopefully all these listeners are patrons.
So maybe we'll just take it on over to the after hours here in a second. What was that?
It's probably time, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's almost there. And maybe we'll talk about one more topic on here. So let's see. How How about BLM football? Like, I want to hear about this. What's been going on this week in football?
Yeah, so Thursday night was the first game of this season. And it was in Kansas City, and they're doing limited fans. So they had, I think, about 16,000 fans. And the two teams came out and they linked arm in arm, the two quarterbacks of the Kansas City and Houston. They linked arm in arm as a show of unity in support of BLM. And the controversy was that the fans booed them. And so some of my friends that are sympathetic to the BLM movement were, up in arms on Facebook saying, this shows how racist this country is and how screwed up this country is, that we can't, stand in unity in support of BLM.
I had read that the fans were actually booing because somebody yelled out really loudly, "Go Trump," when they did that, and they were booing at that guy. I don't know if
the
that's
fans
true,
where?
and
At the football game?
Yeah.
There are no fans at the football game.
No, there were, Jared. They had 16,000 people.
16,000. Jared, were you not paying
They were all
attention, dude?
social distancing in their.
Wait, at what stadium was this?
Kansas City.
Which, by the way, at that point, why are we bothering with limited seating? Is 16,000?
Can we just? How about this? Like, guys, just play some goddamn football, okay? Like, I think everybody can enjoy some football if they would care to play, right? Like, I think we've all got enough politics. We get enough Black Lives Matter. We get enough. We don't like Black Lives Matter. We get enough whatever. Blah blah blah. Like, I'm just thinking people could really use a break and actually just give them some football.
Well, what about the end racism on the fucking end zone? Do you think that's ending racism or no?
Well, they wanted you. They asked for their people to not be murdered by police, and instead they get some end zone scribbles. Like
right?
Not really. You won. No, like I'm not opposed to it.
Are you
I'm
winning,
just saying,
son?
If
No.
it's shit like that, seems to be presented in lieu of actual change, and that pisses me off.
Yeah.
I agree.
By the way, guys, I put like 3 topics in our little title here, and we haven't talked about any of them.
I know.
I had cuties, wildfires, and Satanist sheriff.
Well, okay.
We didn't hit on any of them.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do some more stuff. So we're gonna hit us up at patreon.com/punk rock libertarians. And if your cheap ass could just contribute a minimum of $1 per month, you will gain access to our after hours program. And this podcast is brought to you in part by Conversations About Freedom podcast, hosted by Moral Bob. We also have t-shirts over at libertariancountry.com. If you type in the code PRL, you'll receive a 10% discount. If you spend $50 or more and use the code PRL2, you'll receive a 20% discount. Until next time, live free
Or die.